Hello, it's Wednesday, it's 8 o'clock on the 31st of May, and that means only one thing. It's the live stream on Wednesday where you can improve your English skills with Craig and Lynn. Now, if this is your first time watching, you're very, very welcome. My name's Craig. I'm from the website mansioningles.com, where you can study English for free. And we also have a podcast, and you'll find our weekly podcast at inglespodcast.com. And I should put the banners up here so you can see where to go. inglespodcast.com, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I also teach conversation courses, and we're starting this week with the June conversation courses. So if you feel you need to improve your fluency in English, if you get a bit nervous, a bit anxious when you're speaking English, I think it might be a good idea for you to join me and a small group of motivated students. And there are two levels. So whether you are an advanced student or an intermediate, maybe B1, B2 student, then we can help you. So if you're interested and if you would like more details, there are still some places left. Get in touch with me. I'll put my email address in a second in the chat, and I'll be happy to give you more details. Joining me today over there, my good friend Lynn. How you doing, Lynn?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, I'm happy to be here again. If you don't know me, if you haven't joined us before, then my name is not Craig at Mansion Teachers Yahoo. That's not me, Craig. Get me back. What have you done?
There you are.
There I am. That's me. My business is called putitlikethis.com. Well, that's my website. And I'm an online English teacher. I also do conversation like Craig, but I actually specialize more in tailor-made courses and one-to-one students. I don't really do groups as you do, Craig, unless the groups know each other to start with. Then if you're a couple of friends and you want classes, then you can come to me, no problem. But I don't actually create groups. I'm much more concentrated on sort of tailor making and the courses so that you find your own voice in English and you learn from me the English that you need to do whatever it is you're trying to do in English. So that could be making presentations, it could be working, maybe you're a teacher and you need classroom English for your students. Or maybe you're a student and you want to pass an exam, for example. Everybody has different needs. So I do lots of different types of courses, but if you go to my website, putitlikethis.com, you'll find more information there. And I'm exclusively online, actually, as a teacher. I think it's important to say that too. We both are, aren't we now?
Yeah, 100%
We're exclusively
online.
Yeah.
And if you are watching live, please say hi, hello, where are you from? Put your country or your city in the chat. Don't forget to say hello. We like to know that there is somebody out there watching. So hello, Gemma. Thank you for joining us again. Always a pleasure.
Gemma. And there's Concha too. There are two old faithfuls. Well done.
Hi, Concha.
And Nacho as well from Spain. Hello, Nacho. That's great.
Good to see you. So what are we talking about
we've got
today?
somebody from Mexico too, Jim. Jim. I don't know your name. I haven't seen your name before, Jim, so welcome.
Welcome, Jim. Always nice to have people from Mexico and anywhere in Latin America. It's exciting.
It is.
What's today's topic, Lynn?
Well, today's topic is emotions and feelings. And if you saw the invitation on my website, I said, don't worry, we're not going to get touchy-feely.
We're not going to reach out and touch you.
We're not going to make you explain all your emotions and feelings, so don't worry about that. But we are going to look at the language of the emotions and feelings, because this is an area of vocabulary in English that often causes problems with especially word formation. And also, this is an area of vocabulary that surprisingly everybody uses, and most people use this kind of vocabulary when they're like chatting in conversation and they're trying to maybe tell an anecdote, something that happened to them. And very often we actually communicate how it made us feel. So I think this is an area of vocabulary that everybody uses. It's not specific to psychologists or very emotional, touchy-feely people, is it?
That's right. And it can be tricky with the formation of some
Mm,
of the adjectives and nouns and verbs. So we're going to look at some emotions and feelings and see how you feel about different things. And hopefully you will contribute and write in the chat and practice some of these kind of difficult word formations, changing the words. How do you feel at the moment? How are you feeling, Lynn? You feeling okay?
I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling a little bit embarrassed though, because Francisca, hello, Francisca, she said, I don't understand anything, but I'm greeting you. And you're quite right, Francisca. I'm
We're talking
sorry.
too quickly.
I
Yeah.
was talking too quickly, but thank you. And I'll try to remember to speak a little bit more slowly. But
Me
thank you.
too. I
Yeah.
will slow down a bit and
I
take it.
think I think it's because we're both excited, aren't we? We're quite
We're feeling excited.
we're feeling excited today. I don't know why, but we are.
That's a good example. Let's start with that. So if you feel excited, the verb is to excite. You excite
Excite. Mm-hmm.
someone, or you are excited by something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are excited by something, that sounds like a passive, doesn't it? It's like a passive sentence. I'm excited by the situation. I'm excited by the film I'm going to see. I'm excited by the atmosphere in the room because the thing is exciting. So when it finishes with ing, that's the active adjective. If
Mm-hmm.
you're excited by something, then the thing is exciting.
Now, that is really the tricky thing, isn't it, for some languages, and especially in Spain, I think the Spanish language, that sometimes causes problems for people, right? So you really, that's the first thing that you have to sort of understand. So we often have a verb that expresses the feeling, in this case, to excite. And then there's not just one adjective, but sometimes there's two. In some cases, there's three, right? Adjectives. One of the adjectives will be ed, as Craig said. And the adjective ed means that that describes how you feel, right? How you feel. So you are excited. Uh-huh. But this is how you feel. That's kind of like that's a passive. It is. It's like you said, it's a passive feeling. I am excited. Something is exciting me. Right. So it's I am excited. I'm receiving it. I'm passive, and this is how it makes me feel. And then the other one with ing, as you said, is the active adjective. So you could say, Formula One racing cars are very exciting. And that's because they don't feel excited. It's a car. But they generate this feeling of excitement that everybody experiences. And I often tell my students to remember that ing form, ing, is often with present continuous or past continuous. And if you think of present continuous, I am dancing, that means you're doing it at the moment, don't you? Like I am speaking, it's an active thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say I dance or I speak, that's just talking about a habit, something that you usually do.
And
So
it's
when you
also,
use the
sorry.
ing form, it's an active form. So remember that. And it's the same for the adjectives. If the ing is on the adjective, it's because this is the action. Yeah. It's making something happen, it's generating something.
And this is a bit off topic, but I'll mention it anyway because Lynn just reminded me. If you're writing your CV, your curriculum, your resume, it's a good idea to use the ing form because it's more active, because it it's moving. It's kind of moving. It's movement. So instead of saying I run a large department, you can say running a large department, or I explore new avenues, exploring new avenues. The ing form in a CV is also usually more engaging and more active.
Yeah, it gives the feeling that you're engaged, you're committed, and you're dynamic, isn't it? It gives the sensation that you're dynamic.
Teaching English for 25 years, for example. Let's move on to another verb. If we look at the verb to interest, then
Are
we
you
can look at
putting it up?
yep.
Open up! You got
Yeah.
the wrong one up.
Why? To
Because
interest?
because I thought we were going to get them to tell us.
Oh, I don't have a banner for
You didn't do
interest.
for interest. You're just not interested, are you, Craig?
I'm just not dynamic enough. I ran out of space. I didn't have enough space, so I apologize.
Okay, sorry.
But we can use this as an example
Mhm.
as of what Lynn was describing. So the verb is to interest, and then we've got two adjectives: interested and interesting.
Mhm.
And I've got some examples for those two. I'm interested in what Lynn and Craig have to say, you might think. I hope.
I
Maybe.
hope
Perhaps.
you're all interested in what we have to say.
And if you are, then why? Well, you might say this live stream is interesting. So you are interested by this live stream. So those are the two adjectives, passive and active.
Okay. I think, can we just reply to Nacho? Because Nacho says he's going to leave the video. Are you going to leave the video to download or later? I have to leave. That's fine, Nacho. You'll find the video on Craig's website and also on my YouTube channel. So you will be able to access the video of this class afterwards. Okay. Bye-bye.
And Lynn's website is putitlikethis.com. So you can go
That's
there,
right.
or you can go to mansioningles.com for this video after the fact.
Okay.
Now I've got one more without the verb. Sorry.
Well, maybe we can just say it. Maybe
Let's
say the
just
verb
say it.
first,
Yeah.
because we want you guys to work. What is the word? What is the verb?
The verb
what
is
is the
verb is
the verb?
impress. To impress.
Impress. To impress. Now, Ed, can you work now? You tell us. Do you know the adjectives, the possible adjectives that can come from the verb to impress? Now, this is a little bit of a trick question because this one is a little bit irregular.
Yes, it is.
So can you type in the chat file the adjectives that come from the verb to impress? And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask, we've got a very interesting, with a very interesting name has joined us. And I'm hoping that Craig knows how to pronounce it because I can't read it.
No, I'm not
Is
sure.
Is that Cyrillic script, is it?
I don't know, but if
somebody is greeting us and they have and she's also, whoever it is has got the right answer.
That is impressive. That is
impressive.
That you knew that. Well done.
But do you think you could help us out and tell us how to pronounce your name? Because I can't read that name. I would say Enea, but I'm sure that that's not right the way I'm pronouncing it. So maybe you could try to write it in to help us with the pronunciation
in Latin script, yeah, so that we can read it.
Because I think is that Cyrillic, and is that Cyrillic script? I don't know. Is that Cyrillic script, Craig? Do you think?
I have no idea. Maybe they'll tell us. But yes, you're right.
It
is impressive. That is the passive adjective.
And that one, no, impressive is the active.
Active. I'm sorry, it's the active. It's the active.
That was less than impressive, Craig, what you just
said.
So yeah, impressive is the active adjective. So for example, Craig, he's an impressive teacher, isn't he? You are.
Well, usually, Craig. But not just then.
You are. Not just then. That was a little bit less than impressive, but usually he's very impressive in his teaching style. That's absolutely true.
Thank you.
Now,
so
what is the passive one then? What's the passive one?
Which is easier because we gave you an example before.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Let's see if anybody can tell us.
Can you think while we're waiting? Have you been impressed? Have you seen anything impressive?
Craig. Craig is very impressive. There we are. Concha's got it. Well done, Concha. Concha is impressed by your skills, Craig,
Yeah,
because
I
you
just
are
gave
an
you the clue.
impressive teacher. Well done, Concha.
Well done, Concha. So there we have to impress and impressed and impressive. And remember the
And
preposition by. You are impressed by
by
something.
something. And impressive is an example of one of the irregular adjectives, but really there are not very many that are formed in the active form without ing, but that was one of them, impressive, which is irregular, if you like to call it regular or irregular. There are many, many more that are usually just ing. Okay.
Okay. Now,
Right.
moving on, we have now a verb for you, and it is
Frustrate.
frustrate. That's the verb.
Uh-huh.
Now, can you write, please, in the chat, the adjective, the noun,
The noun. And no, the adjective or adjectives
or adjectives?
that
Yes.
exist. And
And the
also the
adverb.
noun and the adverb. Can you do it all from the verb frustrate?
We're challenging you. Do you know?
Him has got one.
Well done.
Frustrated. That's one of the adjectives. Yeah. Craig, tell me, when was the last time you were frustrated while we're waiting for everybody to? We still got more adjectives and more nouns from the verb frustrate. So don't give up, everybody. Keep typing. Craig, when were you last frustrated?
This week.
Yeah.
I
Why?
ordered a present for my lovely wife. I ordered her some face cream from
Oh.
the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and it said it was going to be delivered in 4 or 5 days. I ordered it at the beginning of May, and 3 weeks later, it still hadn't been delivered. So
You were
that was I
frustrated.
was frustrated by how late the face cream actually took to arrive. Now, if that had been a birthday present, I would be more than frustrated. I would be angry.
Yeah, of course.
But it was it. I
It
was
was.
I
And the
was
situation was, and Concha's got the next one. The situation,
frustrated.
no, Concha, yeah, that's it. The situation was frustrating.
Yes.
That's right. So you were frustrated because the situation was really frustrating. Yes, that is frustrating if you've ordered something and it gets delayed.
Thank you, Roberta.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? He's got the Hawaiian theme going on, I think, haven't you? You're Hawaiian.
I collect Hawaiian shirts. I've got
Do you?
a small collection. I like Hawaiian shirts. Makes me feel happy, so I wear Hawaiian colourful
I'm
shirts.
going for the African look. Can you see me? I'm on
Yeah,
safari.
camouflage. And
And what is
Gemma,
the noun? What is the noun? Him has got it.
Gemma's got
Wonderful.
it. Well done, Gemma. Fantastic.
Frustration.
Frustration is the noun. We
Frustration.
only need the adverb, I think. We need the
Adverb.
adverb.
Anybody know
There's
the
an
adverb?
example from Jim while we're waiting. He says, I'm frustrated because I don't have water. Yeah, good example. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Do you know the adverb of frustrate? Remember, the adverb describes the verb very often. So
So it's going to be active, isn't it, really?
thinking of an example. I waited for the taxi to arrive, but it was late because it was late. So waited, it's describing the verb. No, it's not. It's not frustrating, Hammer. That's the active adjective. We want the adverb. And there's a guide for adverbs. They often end with 2 letters, and not always, but very often they finish with 2 letters. So that might help you.
And remember, everybody, because I think, Craig, if I can add something there, you were trying to make an adverb describe a verb, which is, of course, what they often do. But for this emotion vocabulary, these these words, when they're made into adverbs, they often describe adjectives. So, for example, in your case, and I'm going to give, there, Concha's got it, right? So in your case, the wait for the taxi was frustratingly long,
Yes.
right? The wait for the taxi was frustratingly long. Okay.
Good.
The speech at the wedding was frustratingly long. Everybody was dying to have a drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
So often with these adverbs, because they describe emotions, what we're doing is we're attributing the feeling of the adjective, right? So the wait was long. Long is the adjective. The wait was long, but the wait was frustratingly long. Yeah. And that shows you how you felt about the adjective. And we often forget that, but adverbs very often describe adjectives, not just verbs.
Good
Okay,
point.
let's move on then, shall we?
So you've got
Before
the
we start frustrating everybody else.
so we've got our forms there, the different forms of the words. To frustrate, the verb, frustrated or frustrating, depending on if the adjective is active or passive. Frustratingly, adverbs often end in ly, and frustration. So let's test you. We'd like you to answer this. What makes you?
What would you put in there?
What would you put in there?
Mm-hmm.
Which word would you choose?
Roberta's actually answered the question, but can you just complete the question first? I like that. I think she's answered the question. Is that the answer to the question, Roberta? Or have I
I don't know.
misunderstood? I'm not sure. Can you first of all complete that gap? If we were to ask that question, what would you fill in that gap? What makes you? What's the right answer there?
Thinking. If you're watching live and you haven't said hello, let us know that that you are there and watching. Tell us your name and where you're from.
Now, the delay in this is frustratingly long, isn't it?
It's frustratingly long.
long. But
Paula's
there
got
we
it.
are. Now
Yeah.
we've got some nice answers.
Well done, Paula.
So what makes you frustrated? What makes you frustrated? Now, if anybody would like to answer that, you can tell us. I thought Roberta was answering that, and she was saying, what makes you frustrated? And she said virtual hugs. But maybe, I'm not sure, Roberta, whether you were giving us a virtual hug
Or whether that
or
frustrates
whether
you.
the virtual hugs frustrate you. Because it is true, some people do get frustrated by the little emoticons that people send in WhatsApp messages.
Especially if it doesn't make the message clear and you think, what does
Yes,
that mean? What? Yeah.
that makes you a bit frustrated.
What makes you frustrated, Lynn?
I did write this down afterwards. Oh, yes, I know what makes me frustrated because I did my homework and I looked at this beforehand. What
Me
makes
too.
me frustrated? So the things that actually make me frustrated is officialdom. Officialdom. So all things bureaucratic and official. And particularly in Spain, the thing that really makes me frustrated is that when I have to do something like with the tax office, or I mean, I run my own business, so I have to often use the government websites to try to understand like tax rules or what I have to do to get a paper or to get something that I need for the business. And I find it so difficult to use the Spanish government website because
It's
I cannot
frustrating.
find anything that I need. And it makes me so frustrated because usually there are multiple websites. It seems that they had a website and then they wanted to renew it, and then the old one is still working and the new one is still working. And then there's an added layer of complexity because in Spain we have regional autonomous governments, and sometimes you have to go to the autonomous government website rather than the national government website. And then I go on the autonomous regional government website, and it's in Valenciano, and I don't speak Valenciano.
Yeah, that's
So
really.
I find the whole experience so frustrating. It
Do
makes
you
me
know?
very frustrated.
Did you notice there how Lynn stressed those two words "really" and "so"? In the beginning, she said it's really frustrating, stressing that
Hmm.
really, which shows her frustration and her annoyance. The stress communicates her frustration. And after
Hmm.
she stressed, so it's so frustrating.
Frustrating.
So don't
Hmm.
forget to stress those words before the adjective, and that gives it more
Hmm.
more frustration, actually. Hi,
It's more
Natty.
effective, isn't it?
Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Hmm.
What does Paula say? Staff. Yeah, no S on staff. It's an uncountable nouns. Oh no, that's stuff. I think you mean to
Yeah,
say that's stuff.
STU, Paula,
Yeah,
STUFF. That stuff makes me feel frustrated like me. Yeah, it does,
yeah,
doesn't it? Officialdom sometimes makes me very frustrated.
it does. Yeah.
Okay.
So shall we move on to the next question? Let's see
Yes,
if you
let's move on
can
to the next one. Hmm.
find the missing word. What is the
Oh,
most situation you have been in this year? So what's the missing word for this sentence?
mhm. Now, I think we all know what the question means. So while we're waiting for you to complete the gap, let's see if Craig can answer this question without using the word.
Well, that's a challenge. Um, oh, that's a very good question. I don't know. I mean, I have been frustrated. I can use that word. I
You can
have
use
been
that word.
frustrated many times this year. I think probably um, when I first started doing the conversation courses online, the managing the administration of everything
Hmm.
frustrated me. I can say that word,
Yes.
frustrated me.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got Hema, and I'm sorry, I am going to have to call you Enea. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but Hema and Enea have got the correct answer.
Well done.
Frustrating. Uh-huh. Frustrating. Perfect. Yeah. So that's it. So that was frustrating for you, all of that
Yeah,
difficulty doing that. Hmm.
just because when you are, and you know this, Lynn, when you're teaching online, there's so much to do apart from
Oh, yeah.
teaching. You have
Yes.
to do the administration, the
Hmm.
registers, the emails, the promotion, the payment system, everything.
Hmm.
You have to do yourself if you don't have a team. If you,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
so
No. No.
you're
No. You
really
have to do
running
everything.
running a language school online, and
Hmm.
finding out how to do that is very frustrating.
Hmm. Hmm. I didn't find it frustrating personally. I found it really challenging. I liked it. I liked it
Oh,
because
I
it
didn't.
gave
I
me
didn't like it.
variety. But I like that, and I like because I'm a little organizer, so I like to organize things, and
I'm
it
the
sort of
opposite.
gave it gave me space to organize things, so I liked it. I didn't find that part frustrating. Roberta says that environmental pollution makes you frustrated. Yes, I would agree with
Mm,
that.
yeah.
Because it doesn't seem that we're learning anything about things. I read an article today about Ghana in Africa, and they get so many of our old clothes. And in this article, they were pictures and pictures of these mountains of old textiles which are being sent to Ghana to be buried, and they are polluting the sea, the beaches, and everything. And that problem is all coming from us with all our fast fashion and everything. And it is very frustrating.
It is.
It must be
Yeah,
very frustrating because you just don't see a solution to it except to stop it completely. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, we have one more with this verb, and then we'll
Hmm.
move on to a different verb. So, what's the missing word here? How do you deal with which word is
What's
missing?
hmm
Connected to
Shall I answer
frustrate.
that question? I'll answer that
Yeah,
question.
you
My
answer.
turn.
You go
How
with
do I
this.
deal with it? I take a deep breath
Count to 10.
and I count to 10. That's exactly what I do.
Me
I
too.
take a deep breath and I count to 10. When I was younger, I have to say, I did have a couple of bad habits. One way I used to deal with it sometimes was to have a cigarette, but I don't
Hmm.
smoke anymore, so don't do that. But I would be lying if I didn't say that sometimes, if I am really frustrated, sometimes I do decide I want to drink. Not two drink, just a drink, one drink, but a little drink. Better than a cigarette, but not a lot better than a cigarette. But
Well, in
the best
moderation, it's
solution
fine.
is to take a deep breath and count to 10, isn't it? Do you
Yeah.
reckon?
Or meditate, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation's good. Or go for a walk. Just
Mm-hmm.
calm down.
Mm-hmm.
So the
I
missing word
can't
is
meditate though when I'm frustrated. I can't do that. I'm not in the right frame of mind, I think. Mm.
conscious. Got it. Frustration is the
Frustration.
noun. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Gemma's got it
Well done.
also. And Anea also. I think it's Anea.
Perfect. Uh-huh.
And Natty
And
got it as well. Frustration. Yeah.
wonderful.
So now we
Right.
can answer. Now we can answer the question, which
Mm-hmm.
was, how do you deal with it? Well, we've just said, haven't we?
We
How we
just
deal with
said,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with frustration? Do you have any other coping mechanisms? How
Mm-hmm.
do you cope with? That's a good phrasal verb. To cope with frustration is how you deal with it, how you
Mm-hmm.
manage it,
Mm-hmm.
and learn to live with it.
Chocolate's a good thing too.
Oh
Some
yes,
people some people deal with frustration by treating
eating
themselves to something. So it could be to eat, or in my case, to have a drink, or it
or
could
both.
be also. And some people buy things. I know some people who go on shopping trips when they're frustrated because when they buy and consume things, they feel better. Hmm. Yeah. I can't meditate though when I'm frustrated. I'm way too frustrated to
Hmm.
to to be in the mood to meditate. Uh-huh. Anea eats chocolate. Yeah, good thing. I like chocolate too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a good solution. I do that too. Okay,
Hmm.
let's move on to another verb, and the verb is
Hmm.
to bore.
Oh.
Bore. So,
Hmm.
can you tell us the verb? Well, we
The
know the
verb is
verb
to
to
bore.
bore. The adjective, the two adjectives.
Adjectives and the noun. You can put it all in one go, right? The adjectives and the noun. Give it a go.
And the
Uh-huh.
adverb.
And the adverb. Hmm. Adjectives, adverb, noun. What from the verb to bore?
Or ice cream, says Anna. Yeah.
Hmm.
Chocolate ice cream, of course. I'm getting hungry.
All right.
Um,
People are getting the right answers. Jim has given us one, which is bored.
very good.
Uh-huh. Paola's giving us boring and bored, same as Concha too. Hmm. And what about the noun, guys? What about the noun?
Yeah, the noun's
What
tricky.
is the noun? And what is the adverb? Mm.
Everybody's on Google looking it up.
Him has got it too. Oh, while we're waiting, Natty's got a good solution. She says she deals with frustration by practicing Ho'oponopono.
Ho hop
What
ho ho
what is that, Natty?
hoponopono.
Ho'oponopono.
Ho ho
Ho'opono.
ho ho hoponopono.
Ho'opono.
Oh, hopono.
Pono.
That's frustrating. Reading that.
But there's never a boring moment on our videos, are there?
Concha's got it. Well done,
Well
Concha.
done, Concha. Boredom.
Yeah, that's the
Boredom. And
noun.
it's a strange noun, isn't it? With dumb. We have some other nouns with dumb, like kingdom, don't we?
Yep.
Mm?
And you had one before, didn't you? Officialdom.
Officialdom. Exactly. I made a one up earlier before as well. Officialdom, boredom, kingdom. Uh-huh. But it's not a very common ending to a noun.
Now,
Boredom.
now,
Right.
no one's suggested the adverb, but do you remember what I said about adverbs earlier? They often end in ly, like lovely or
Mm,
slowly or quickly. So have a guess with bore.
mm-hmm.
There you
That's
go.
right. Conscious got it.
Boringly.
Boringly. Well done.
Boringly.
Boringly. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So there you are. To bore, boring, bored. If the film is boring, you are bored by the film. If this live stream
Mm-hmm.
is boring, you are bored by Lynn and Craig, and
Mhm.
we hope that's not the case.
I think we have a little typo. We have a typo mistake there
Do
in the
we?
noun. Yes, we do with boredom because there's an E there.
Oh, well
Bordom.
spotted.
Mm-hmm.
Let me change that.
Okay,
Thank you for
that's all
spotting that.
right. That's boredom. Right. So we've got some questions now for you again to fill in. Right. So can we put up the first question? Do you often get,
What?
Craig? Do you often get?
No, I don't actually. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy usually.
Really?
And
So
also
it's not a
if I do, I distract myself with something. That could be um, watching a TV series or listening to a podcast or doing something or going out. So I don't usually. This doesn't usually happen to me. What
uh-huh.
about you?
No, same with me. It's not something that I often get bored. There is one thing that does bore me, and that is when I have to mark things, but not
Hmm.
mark things from my students. Because there's two ways to mark things, like when you have to give marks. If I have to give marks for my students to help them improve, I like that. I like marking writings if it's so that I can teach them something. But when I have to mark things just to evaluate students, I find that really, I
Yeah.
get very bored by that.
And that's the answer, bored. So
I
we
think
have
everybody got that.
most
Yeah.
people got that. And
hmm
Roberta has even got the active adjective, boring. Well done.
Boring, where she had before.
And Natty as well.
As well.
And um, Natty said before that it's a Hawaiian practice.
Oh,
Ho'oponopono
oh
is
no.
Hawaiian practice. But what is it exactly, Natty? What is it, like a meditation or some physical thing that you do to relieve stress or frustration?
It sounds like a nice fancy dance, doesn't it? When I think of
Is it
Hawaii,
with
I think,
the
is it
with the
like a grass dance or something like that?
I've got the shirt for it at
You
least.
have, you have indeed. So that
Um,
was one question. Do you often get bored? Everybody got that one. The next one. What kind of activities or sports do you find? And what would you put in there?
and this question's for you, Lynn. What do you think? How would you answer
Oh,
that?
yeah. Formula One racing.
Oh, that's exciting. I think
No,
that's
it
very
is not. It is not. Just going round and round. Cycling, the Champs-Élysées Tour de France,
yeah, yeah, I agree.
where you just see that on the television going round and round. I find it extremely um, now, the word to go in here, there's a little bit of a disagreement going on here, but the correct word that goes in here, Enea, Concha, Paula's got it, boring. What kind of activities or sports do you find boring? Because they bore me. Yeah, so those kind of sports, yeah, really boring.
You forgot one. Cricket.
Cricket, yeah, never watch
Oh,
it.
how boring is cricket? Cricket is the only game that you can play for 3 days and it ends in a draw. Nobody wins. That's so boring.
Yeah, it's only nice to play those games, isn't it? I'm sure it's very exciting if you drive a Formula One race car, and it's probably very exciting if you cycle and win the Tour de France or you're
So,
in the race. But to
yeah,
watch it
to
is
watch it.
so boring, so boring.
There's an expression
Mhm.
in English, it's more boring than watching paint dry.
That's true.
Just
I like
imagine
that
watching
expression.
paint takes a
hmm
long time to dry, maybe
hmm
days. So if
It's
you're
like watching paint
staring,
dry.
looking at the
hmm
wall,
hmm
waiting for the paint to dry, that's boring, right? So
hmm
if it's more boring, it's
hmm
like an idiom. If it's more boring than watching paint dry, it's very,
hmm
very boring. Yeah.
hmm Perfect. Okay. Last question then was.
Oh, there's one
Oh
more
no. Are we
question.
gonna?
Yeah.
No, I
Or shall
don't
we
know.
move
Was there
on?
another question or not? Well, let's move on because I think we've got
Let's
those
move
right.
on. I think
Uh huh.
we've done that bore.
hmm
So offend is our next
Oh,
word,
offend.
and there is a irregular adjective, and we
Mm-hmm.
want to know all the possible adjectives and also the noun and the adverb. So if you
Uh
know
huh.
those, please write them in the chat and we'll tell you if you're correct.
Now, this is a bit trickier, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Offend.
I don't want to offend you. That's the
Yeah.
verb.
That's the verb.
I
Him
don't
has
want
got
to
one.
offend you.
Offended. That's one of the adjectives. Well done.
Yep.
Paola has got the noun. Well done. Offense. Well done, Paola. That's the noun. Offense. And there's
offense.
one more adjective.
Yep.
And Concha's got it. Well done,
Well
Concha.
done, Concha.
Excellent. Offensive. Anybody want to try the adverb?
Remember the guide I said earlier, how adverbs usually finish, the final two letters of adverbs? Have a guess? You might be right. And that's useful if you're doing one of these Cambridge word formation tests and you know the missing word is an adverb, but you don't know the adverb. Just guess, add those two letters, and there's a
To
good
the
chance you'll be
adjective.
right.
Usually the adverb, it's added to the adjective. And here's a little top tip for you. Well done, Concha's got it.
Yep.
Concha's added
done.
it to the active adjective. Do you see that? And that's been the way with interestingly, frustratingly. So those active adjectives that end in ing, they're the ones that are chosen to put to be the adverbs. You see, the ly goes on those. And offended is the passive. I am offended. But offensive is the active one. And that's where you put the adverb offensively, because it describes the action.
Good point. So the verb to offend, offended, offending is another possible adjective.
Yes.
Offensive, as we said, and offensively, and the noun is offence with an ending se. Be careful of those noun endings. Offence. And a collocation is to cause offence.
To cause offence. Okay. And what's the difference between offensive and offending? Because they're both active ones, aren't they? So why do we have two?
I'm not sure. Let me Google it.
I think I've got a feeling that offensive describes the behavior of somebody, right? So somebody is offensive. And offending is when we describe an object that is bothering us. So, for example, how can
that's interesting.
Have you got something?
Well,
there?
This is what Uncle Google says. Uncle Google says this. It almost means the same thing. For example, with offensive remarks, a remark is something you say. A remark you make, something you say. But there's a small difference. If you make an offensive remark, that just means that the nature of the remark is offensive, but it doesn't mean anybody actually got offended by the remark. However, if you make an offending remark, that does mean that somebody was
hurt,
offended. Interesting.
Yes.
I did not know
that is interesting. And that, so it's a little bit, the ing is even more active, isn't it? It's more action there. So if somebody has offending behavior, it means that they are hurting people. If they have offensive behavior, maybe they are acting in a very impolite way, but nobody is taking offense. That's what it means, isn't it? Like that.
Which is another collocation, to take offense and to cause offense. So if I am being active with my offensive remarks, I'm possibly causing offense. But if you receive the offense, you're taking offense.
It's like, oh, don't like that.
Don't like what you said?
What you said, I'm going to take offense.
Let's test you. Do you easily get...
Do you get easily?
What's the missing word? Now that we've given you the verbs, the verb, the adjectives, the adverb, and the noun, which one's missing?
So while the people think
Do you
what's the
get
right answer,
easily blah,
Concha's
blah,
got
blah?
it. Well done,
Concha's
Concha.
got it.
Do you get easily offended?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think I do either, really.
Not really.
No, I've got quite a bit of
Occasionally.
a thick skin. It's not that it doesn't ever happen. It happens, doesn't it? Occasionally,
Yeah.
but usually I don't get offended easily, I don't
Let me
think.
put that in the chat. That's a nice expression.
Uh-huh.
To have a thick skin. If you don't get
Mm-hmm.
offended easily, you can say that you have a thick, your skin is very thick. The offense does not reach your
Doesn't penetrate.
heart, your soul, your being.
That doesn't mean that you can all offend us. That's not allowed.
No.
Just because we have thick skins doesn't mean you can be offensive, everybody. But I know I don't get offended easily either. I don't
So
think so.
what's the missing word with the next sentence? What kind of behavior do you find particularly these days?
Oh, I know an answer to that one. Do you have a
I've got an answer. Let's hear
go
yours
on then?
first.
All right. Well, mine is when people if you're in a sort of outside in a group, or even just on the street, or in a concert or in a shop, and people are speaking and acting in a very sort of loud way without any care for the fact that other people maybe want to be quiet. I find that really offensive. Well, I shouldn't say that now because I haven't got it. No, Hima's just got it. Thanks, Hima, and Paola, and Jim, and Concha. That kind of behaviour I find particularly offensive. When people are not aware that other people are around them. I think we talked about this in one of our videos a few months ago with manners, didn't we? Like people who speak on the phone and really loudly sitting next to you on the metro, and you hear all of their trials and tribulations. I find that really offensive if they don't recognize that you're a human being and you're sitting next to them.
I get offended I find a dog's mess offensive when people take their dog for a walk and they leave the dog's business on the pavement. I find that offensive because we all live in the same place, the same city. I just find it very offensive. I'm offended by dog's mess on the floor. I like dogs, but I don't like the dog's mess on my shoes.
On your shoes, yeah.
Yeah. And the last one we've got, what do you do when someone takes What do we need here? Do we need the adverb, the adjective, a noun, the verb?
What do you do, Craig, in this one?
What do I do? If I cause the offense, if I'm the agent, if I actually offend someone, I just said the word, then I apologize. I say sorry. But if someone takes offense at something silly and it's nothing to do with me, I usually laugh. I think it's quite funny. If I'm not to blame, if it's nothing to do with me, I think it's funny because these days people get offended by everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny.
Yes, it is true. That is true. Part of our society today, a lot of people get offended easily, don't they? And they take offence very easily. That's something to do with our society, isn't it? That's very politically correct. That you take offence at lots of things.
Yeah, offence. Remember the double F, offence.
I think it's funny when people take offence in comedians, in comedy. Because there are comedians who are stand-up comedians, and some of them are a little bit offensive. They can be offensive. But if you go into a comedy show, you have to accept that, don't you? You can't take offense.
Yeah, I get
in a
offended.
comedy show.
I get offended by boy bands and by reggaeton music offends me. So
Really?
I get offended by it. But I mean, it's just comedy. So
Yeah.
Just
Uh-huh.
don't watch it. Don't go. I don't listen to
Yeah.
reggaeton because it offends me, so I don't listen
Uh-huh.
to it.
So you don't listen. So you don't
Yeah.
take offense. It offends you, but you don't take offense. Uh-huh.
No.
As such. Okay. Shall we have got time for one more?
I think we can squeeze in one more before we leave you. What should we
Mm-hmm.
do? Where should we go? Oh, that's interesting. Embarrass.
Oh, this could go on for half an hour. I have tales of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh, and
So
then
can you
embarrass.
tell us the
Mhm.
adjectives and the adverb and
And the
the
noun.
noun, which
And the noun.
is has a strange, well, not a strange, it has an unusual ending.
Uh-huh.
The suffix on embarrass, you have to think about that one. What's the noun and
Mm-hmm.
what's the adverb and the two
Mm-hmm.
adjectives, passive and active?
Mm-hmm.
Let us know
Mm-hmm.
while
We're
we're
not letting
waiting.
anybody be passive today. We're making everybody be active, aren't
Yeah,
we?
making you
Or
work.
making you type today. You've got to type your answers in.
Yeah.
So embarrassed. But this is good. I mean, I think word formation is good. And also, it's also true that when we tell anecdotes, like when you were pointing out that I was saying it was so frustrating, and I was so frustrated. The frustration was unbelievable. I find that often when you're telling anecdotes, you're actually you say this, you can repeat yourself because you want people to understand how amazing this situation was. So you end up repeating yourself, but so that you don't sound like a parrot, you repeat yourself with the different forms of the verb. Yeah.
Hmm.
Would you agree? I think we do that,
Yeah.
We say,
Yeah.
oh
We
my
stress
God, the
it.
situation was so frustrating. You cannot believe the frustration. I just, it makes me so frustrated when people do that. So you actually paraphrase yourself and you put yourself into a position where you have to use all of this flexibility with the word. Mhm.
I've just added an extra R in there. There was a spelling mistake on that one as
Yeah.
well. So
Uh-huh.
embarrassed.
How,
Two R's and two S's.
Craig, how embarrassing as an
It's
English teacher
embarrassing
that you
as an
made a
English
spelling
teacher.
mistake.
And you've just given them an answer. You've just given them
Well,
one
I
of the
haven't. It's because
adjectives.
in the chat, everybody's fine. Look at that. There
Oh,
we are.
yeah, you've got it.
Aenea's got it. Concha's got it again. They've all got the idea now. It's embarrassing. It's
Double R.
embarrassed. Uh-huh. And it is now, Aenea hasn't quite got it right, but you're warm. If you can put Aenea's up again, she embarrass, not nent, embarrass. We haven't quite got the noun. In the meantime, Concha's got the adverb. Well done, Concha.
Yep.
Embarrassingly. Well done.
Correct spelling
Mhm.
as well. Double R, double S.
Correct
Well done.
spelling because it's a tricky spelling. Double R, double S. And then I'm repeating, aren't I? Sorry. I sound like a parrot. I'm repeating you all the time. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
It's
That I'm
embarrassing.
repeating
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I'm so embarrassed. But we haven't got the noun yet, everybody. Can everybody make an improvement on Aenea's? She nearly got it, but she
Yeah, we've
said
nearly got the noun, but there's
there's a
two
mistake there.
two mistakes. Two
Now
spelling
she's
mistakes.
corrected it. She's corrected it now. Can you have got
Almost.
that
We
one?
need another R in there.
No, another R. Yeah, Concha's got
Yeah.
it now. Concha's got the right spelling.
Yes. Concha's got it.
Double
Embarrass.
R, double S, and then meant. Embarrassment. Embarrassment. So quick, come on, let's do your anecdotes. Put the questions up, Craig.
Okay. Do you get when you speak a foreign language, and why? This is one reason why people like to join my conversation courses,
Mm-hmm.
because this sometimes happens when they speak English. They lack confidence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Does that
yeah,
happen to you when you speak your foreign languages like Spanish?
um, it matters. Yeah, this happens when I make a silly basic mistake. If I'm speaking fairly fluently in Spanish and I make a silly basic mistake,
Mm-hmm.
then this happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
But normally, no, I don't. I don't mind making a fool of myself. I don't mind
Mm-hmm.
trying the language, experimenting. I think it's fun. But some people
Mm-hmm.
suffer from this. That's the noun. Well done, Gemma.
Embarrassment. But that's not what goes in that question, everybody.
Oh, no, it's not, is it?
No, it's not. Hemmers, you've got it right. That's the noun. But do you get, Concha's got it, do you get embarrassed, Jim, as well? Do you get embarrassed when you speak a foreign language?
Do you,
Oh,
Lynn?
not at all. And I think that's, I have to say, I get embarrassed about other things now because I'm quite an embarrassing person. My daughters would assure you of that. They're often embarrassed when I'm around. Because they say, Mum, you're being so embarrassing. Stop embarrassing us, they say. And they're quite right. But I have to say, when it comes to foreign languages, I've never, ever been embarrassed about speaking a foreign language. I always thought it was so much fun. And
Yeah.
I always think when people laugh, I laugh with them, you know? And I've never really found that people, only once or twice in my life, and I've spoken, I mean, I speak German, I speak French, I speak Spanish, I've tried Guinean, Creole, and I've never found anybody who has taken offense when I've made a mistake. On the contrary, most people are so happy when you try to speak the language, when you try to speak their language. So I find it quite addictive, you know. I love it because the people like you because you're trying to speak the language, but you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and you should expect mistakes because
Yeah, of course.
a friend of mine said recently, you can't expect to pick up a guitar and play perfectly the first time. You
Of
can't
course
expect to
not.
pick up a tennis racket and be the best player in the world and play tennis and win. So you have to go through the making mistakes, constant improvement, work at it, practice, and then you'll see yourself improving.
But I have to say, to be fair, when you've given those examples of musical instruments, for example, I try to play the piano and I get very embarrassed if anybody hears me playing the piano because I can't do it. So it's actually only with languages where I have no shame. But everything else, I get quite embarrassed. So,
That's
yeah.
interesting. So only when someone hears you playing, you don't get embarrassed if you're by yourself.
No, not at all. No. But if somebody was to hear me play, I get embarrassed because I think it's because with a musical instrument, everybody, if they don't play a musical instrument, they can hear that you can't play, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's it. And the piano doesn't speak back to me and say, it's okay, Lynn, you're trying, well done. Whereas people, when you're speaking a foreign language, they give me feedback and it's very encouraging, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, I think we have almost run out of time, frustratingly. So I think we'll stop there. So before we go,
Okay.
to say thank you for watching, thank you for participating. It's been a lot of fun. And what's happening, Lynn? So I will be here by myself on Friday.
That's right. So first of all, we have to tell everybody we're
Yes,
having to change the day of the Facebook this live stream.
that's
So
my
we
fault,
are
by the way. I'm to blame.
that's no problem. But we're going to change the day from Wednesday to Fridays. So it's going to go Fridays 8 o'clock. And we're still on I'm on the 2 weekly rhythm still. I don't know. Are you going to offer one every week or every
Um,
2 weeks?
I
You're
will
not sure.
be the week that you're not here. Yes,
So you're going to continue doing it alone, yeah?
yeah. I don't know if it
Uh-huh.
will be every Friday because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes maybe I have to go and see my sister.
Mm-hmm.
But if I am here at home in Valencia, then I will be doing the live streams when Lynn is not available. Yeah.
Okay, right. But otherwise, we're going to be doing them regularly until the summer. But then we're changing our days to Friday. And in the next live stream, you're doing it alone because I can't. And the next one is going to be on
The 9th of June, I
The
believe.
9th of June.
Yep.
But you send out, don't you? You always send out little reminders on social media, don't you?
Yes, if you are on
Mhm.
the Mansion Inglés Facebook page, you will see the time and the date of the live stream. So mansioningles.com or facebook.com/mansioningles. Don't forget to listen to the podcast, inglespodcast.com. If you're not a listener, then go over there or just search for Inglés Podcast on your favorite podcasting app. And if
Mhm.
you're interested in conversation with me and a lovely group of students, we are starting conversation courses next week. And there are still places on the intermediate level conversation and on the advanced level conversation. So send me an email. Let's have a chat for 10 minutes or 15 minutes on Zoom so I can see your level and find out what you need and explain the course to you. Send me an email and try and improve your fluency. Get fluent with conversation course.
Right. Okay. And I'm Lynn. I'm from putitlikethis.com. And you can go to my website. You'll see what I do there. And I basically do online classes, tailor-made courses, and to try to help you find your own voice in English. So you can see me there. And Hema has said, today has been a very emotional stream. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye. And I would like to say we are very impressed that people were so eager to participate today. You've been a great audience. You've been amazing.
You've been impressive.
You were impressive. It was not boring at all for us. You have been... I'm trying to think of an adverb to go with an adjective now.
Interesting.
It has been an interesting experience, definitely, and you have been amazingly
Intelligent.
intelligent. You've all been amazingly intelligent today, and we hope you have a really nice week.
And we hope
Okay?
you haven't been confused by these different word forms.
Yes, I hope not, but I don't think so. Everybody was getting the right answers, so that's
Yeah,
good.
I thought they were very, very good, very
Yeah,
impressive. Okay, thanks for
great.
watching. Have a great week. I will see you on the 9th, and Lynn will be back soon. Take care, and thanks for watching.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.